Okay, with the poster, we have a very different situation. Okay. First of all, it's a white poster. We still want it to seem like a white poster, but where it's placed on that wall, it would not be that vibrant a white. So before we start doing anything else to it, we are going to kind of darken the overall look of the poster. We're going to do that by, while we're on the poster layer, going to edit, oh, sorry, image, go to image, adjustments, brightness and contrast. And you are going to lower the brightness down a little bit. So it kind of starts to tone down a little bit. It's still, you still want it to look like a white poster, but it's not going to be as intensely white. Um, just because this file turns a little bit green here, just ignore that. That's just kind of part of this particular image. But just tone it down so that white is not quite as bright as it was. Okay, we don't want to make it match the wall. We still want to have that contrast, but tone it down a little bit. Okay, the special situation that we have here, I'm just going to hide the cowboy layer so we can see that poster a little bit better. So I'm going to hide the eyeball on the cowboy layer. I'm still on the poster layer, and I'm going to zoom in a little bit so we can see this a little bit better. Okay, what I want you to notice about the placement of the poster, it's on this side wall on the right. And where it's placed, there's a cast shadow from the soffit, this kind of indentation in the ceiling. There's a cast shadow that crosses over the area of the poster. So even though we made the whole poster darker, because of that shadow, if I hide the layer, you see this shadow here? Because of this shadow, the top of this poster should be a little bit darker. The way we're going to do that is by making a selection. And I'm going to hide the poster layer so I can see that cast shadow. I'm going to use the polygon lasso tool. And I'm going to make a selection. I'm going to go down the line where the two walls meet. And this is the most important line to get here, this angle of where the shadow angles on that right wall. And go up to the top. So I've got this top area of the wall selected. But I'm still on the poster layer. So I'm going to make the poster visible again. So you see how I've got that top area of the poster selected. And what I want to do to show that there's a shadow there is I'm going to go back to image, adjustments, brightness and contrast again. And I'm going to lower the brightness down just a little bit more on the top there. I'm going to click OK. And I'm going to go up to select, deselect. And now you see that it looks like there's a shadow crossing over the top edge of that poster. Okay, because the shadow from the wall crosses over onto there. So we put the cowboy back up. Looks like the poster is on the wall. Looks like the lighting and the shadow is the same. The other thing we want to do with the poster, I'm going to hide the cowboy again, is while it does not have a cast shadow on the floor, it would have like a tiny little balance point shadow along the edges to kind of give it that 3-dimension, kind of give it a little lift away from the wall a little bit. So we're going to do that. You're going to start it off very similarly to how we do the cast shadow. So I'm going to hold my control button down and I'm going to click on the poster thumbnail. So I've got the shape of the poster selected. I'm going to make a new blank layer. I'm going to take the paint bucket with my black paint and I'm going to click into that space so that I have that silhouette. All right. Now I'm going to deselect that silhouette. So we see the silhouette is over the poster right now, but I'm going to pull that shadow layer down so it's under the poster. We don't really see it because the poster is covering it. But now I'm going to do a slight move to it. So I'm on that new layer, layer 81 at this point. I'm going to switch over to the move tool because I'm going to move that shadow, but instead of actually using my cursor to move it, I'm going to use the keyboard. I'm going to use the arrow keys on the keyboard. So I'm going to use the down arrow on the keyboard just to give it like a little nudge. Two taps of the arrow down and then two taps to the right. And I have a little bit of a balance point shadow there. If you want, you can change the opacity a little bit, make it a little bit lighter. But because this is a really tight proximity, the shadow is right next to the wall, or sorry, the poster is right next to the wall, that shadow is right there. You wouldn't necessarily get a blur because it'll have a pretty clean edge, but I adjusted the opacity a little bit so it wasn't super dark because our light source is not a really dark light source. I'm going to go ahead and put our cowboy back in here. Zoom out a little bit so you can see the whole image. So we have added the cowboy. We have added the poster and its shadow. We've moved Eder. Got this room pretty well set up.